Hello, Podfam, and hello, Rachel. How are you today?
I am doing good, Laura. I just had some Indian for dinner,
Nice.
so I'm feeling nice and full, and I have my nice tea with me, so I'm feeling pretty good. How are you?
Oh, that is perfect. I am drinking kombucha this evening.
Oh,
Yes, feeling a little different and fancy, so I got myself a bottle of kombucha.
nice. What flavor is it?
I got mango, which is not normally my
Oh,
go-to. Usually I like the ginger ones, but
yeah.
I was just like, no, I kind of want something a little bit different. So I went with the mango. It's
Hmm.
pretty good as well. Like I like that one.
Nice, nice. Well, tea-wise, I've brought out a an old friend of mine, and that's the Everyday Detox tea.
Oh, lovely. Haven't heard that one for a while.
I know. I was really feeling my like warm cinnamon spice tea, but I can't find the little canister. So I'm like, did I drink all of it? But I don't know. I think my boyfriend is hiding it from me.
No.
Maybe he's probably tried it once and he's like, "Oh, this is good." And then he's like, "I'm never giving this back to her."
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna steal this one.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a life update because I realized I haven't shared this on the show yet.
Oh, go for it.
We have new mascots for the
Didn't you
show.
mention that in an episode already?
No, I mentioned that I was going to get them,
Okay,
but we have had two lovely interviews since I've got them.
true.
So I actually haven't talked about them on the show, and I don't actually think they have the mention of them ever actually wound up in an episode. I just know we talked about it in the middle of one during like a little mini recording break.
Right.
So, yes, podcast friends, we now have two little kittens to join the tea mascot team.
Very cute.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One's name is Louie and one is Sven. So they're joining Sydney as our kitty mascots.
Yes, and I think we
Yes.
have like a proxy mascot as well
Yes, yes.
because my dad also adopted a little cat. His name is Lenny. He is just 1 years old as of a couple days ago, and
Cute.
he is just a little sweetheart. So he is out right now, but you never know. He likes to poke his head in the window when he wants to come inside. So
Oh.
later in the episode, you might hear him meowing. Um, but well, we had dinner this evening. We were
Oh.
watching The Little Mermaid because that's the fish princess, and he enjoyed
Oh.
it. He enjoyed it a lot.
Was he
Um,
like watching it with you?
yes, well, and then he would purr, and then I was like, "Let's
Oh.
sing and dance, little Lenny," and he's like, "No, thank you." Um, but I have to say one thing about that movie, like Ursula did not lie. You
She
know,
didn't.
no, she put it all out there. Like she's just like,
You're not gonna have a voice.
you're gonna give your voice to me. I'm gonna make you a human. These are the
Mhm.
details. You have to fulfill them. And yes, I do know like she kind of got in the way of fulfilling it, but like it's not like anything was a secret there.
Well,
She told her exactly what was going to happen.
it was also not written into the contract that Ursula couldn't interfere
True.
with her achieving this goal, you know? Like, she never said that. And girl is trying to get that soul. So,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
So
So, I mean, still rude of her to do that, but like yeah, she's still in alignment with the contract.
yeah, she didn't break any contractual agreements, and
No.
I know the new Little Mermaid is coming out next year, I
Oh,
believe,
yeah.
and I'm excited to see that one. But I also kind of wish, and maybe they'll still do this, but like have an Ursula backstory. You know how like a lot of the villains are now getting their own movies.
Mhm.
I think that would be
Yes.
really awesome to get like her backstory because she really is like one of those really out there and iconic villains.
Yeah.
I
Well,
would love
wasn't it
that.
sort of like alluded to that she was the queen at some point or something? Or am I making that up?
Um,
Wasn't it?
I think you're making that part up.
Wasn't there something about when she was in the palace?
I don't know if she was, I think she might have been in the palace at one point.
Okay.
but like she was never queen.
Okay. I
But
don't
I
know.
think
I
she
could
was
also be
banished.
like, that was like a plot point for like quite a few movies of our childhood, so I
Yeah.
might be getting it mixed up, but
Yeah,
you know,
maybe.
she was banished for some reason or other.
Yeah, like she wasn't welcome in court.
No. No,
Yes.
no, no. I mean, probably with good reason because she was being mean, but I mean, this kind of leads in nicely to what we're talking about
It
this
does, it
evening.
does,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Yes, so, we're coming into fall now, and I find throughout the summer, like, I really don't watch a lot of TV shows. I'm just
Mhm.
really busy and, don't really have the attention span for it,
Mhm.
but, like, as soon as fall comes, there's just something traditional about that, and I don't know if it's just because, like, we're the TV generation,
Mhm.
but that's when all the new TV shows would always come out. So
Mhm.
whenever like fall comes around, I'm just like, okay, what's new? Like what's good on TV? And we kind of wanted to just do like a little, what we're watching and what you
Mhm.
guys should watch. And then of course in turn, like send us some recommendations because I feel like we're all just like looking for something right now. Like I know
Yeah.
majority of the conversations I have with just people, they're like, "What are you watching? I need to find something new."
Mhm.
So it's like that time of year just to
And there's also just so much to choose
oh,
from.
it's a little overwhelming and I feel like a lot of like great shows are probably
Mhm.
going missed just because like
Yeah.
it's an overload of content. So we hope like the
Mhm.
ones that we're going to talk about today they are something like you guys have never seen before or have like been thinking of watching
Mhm.
and you can try something new.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna preface all this for our Canadian listeners. I put off getting Crave for a very, very long time because I didn't want to spend like the $20 a month on the subscription fee. Guys, it's worth it. It's very worth it. There's a lot of good content on there. So I'm gonna be talking about a few of those today.
Yeah, and I find it's also really hard to pick a platform to
Yes.
choose. Like I'm not going to lie, I bum off my parents' accounts.
Yeah, I'm off my parents' Netflix account too, so
Yeah. Yeah, so like I don't pay for the Netflix or the Disney Plus. I'm just going to throw that one out there. Um so it's an expense though.
Mhm.
And like honestly, I think if I didn't have access to it, I don't think I would
Mhm.
get my own. I don't know.
I think ever since getting Crave, if for some odd reason my Netflix like disappeared and I got kicked off the parent Netflix, I don't think I would get Netflix again unless something very specific was coming out that I wanted to watch.
Yeah, like I think if I had to pick one to get, I think it would honestly be Disney Plus.
Mm, it does have those good classics on there.
Yeah, and not just for like the Disney content, but because it also has so many other networks. Like Simpsons
Mhm.
are on there, which is, iconic in my family. Then there's Star Network, and I haven't really explored a lot of those TV shows yet, but I've heard really good things about them.
Mhm.
I just feel like for any age, there's a lot of content on there.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, like Crave is very like HBO centric, and a lot of those are not appropriate for the whole family.
That's true.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. All right, shall we get into it? You want to go
Yeah.
first?
Um, how about you go first?
Okay. I'm like, which one do I want to start with first? Um, so we just recently finished watching it, and this show really stressed me out. And it's on Crave, HBO, and it's Euphoria.
Oh, see, so many
And
people are talking about this show, and I
I
like have never
know.
watched it.
I know. I put it off for a long time, but I've been kind of interested in seeing it. I was really fun. Like it's like 8, 9 episodes per season and it kind of goes fairly quickly. Um Zendaya, literally fantastic in that role. Like I've seen her in a lot of stuff and I haven't really enjoyed her acting, but she really brings it with her character of Rue. Um so it's like it's good fun if you want like a nice character-based drama. The one thing though I would say is they are not the best at character development that I've noticed. Like they're really great with one or two characters that giving them a really good backstory. But do you know we've had a few conversations about a show we've been watching recently where You know when sometimes it feels like they skipped a scene?
Yes.
That happens a lot in this show, and I don't know if it's just like because it's HBO, I don't know if it's like an HBO writers thing, but 1 second we're over here, and then the next second, like something crazy is happening over here, and I'm like, oh, how did we get here? I feel like this wouldn't just happen. So that's my main complaint with that show. But really, it's just made me stressed out for having teenagers, if that's what having teenagers is like in this day and age. So, yeah, you should check it out one time. It
Yeah,
might
I'll have
stress
to.
you out though.
So on this show, like who is the audience? Like it's obviously like a more I think it's in a pretty R-rated show, isn't it?
Yeah, like I would think that it's catering to like young adults.
Okay.
Like I would say it's maybe like you could watch it when you're like 17, 18, but even then like it's quite a lot. And that's like the I enjoy it a lot as like a young adult because they tackle a lot of young adult themes and like various like difficult moments that you can go through as a young person. Um, One thing I would have liked to see it done differently is if they just set it in college because a
Mm.
lot of it seems like stuff that would not be happening to high school students. You know, like
Yeah, I
it's
have an
kind
issue
of
with a lot of TV shows because
yeah.
like this has been a problem for pretty much since Dawson's Creek came out. Like
Mhm.
it's always set in the high school scene. Yet, okay, one, all the actors are young adults, like they're between 20 and
Mhm.
30 years old, maybe older.
Yeah.
And they're dealing with problems that really are for adults. Yet for
Mhm.
some reason they keep putting them in high school. And I just don't understand.
And
Like
they never do homework.
they never do homework. There's never any parents. And I just don't understand. Like maybe there's a Hollywood reason for this that I just don't know about it. That like, why don't they ever put it in a university setting? Why is it always high school?
I
Like I
know.
don't understand.
And it always like a lot of those shows too and like this is just I have a lot of issues with kind of how like sexuality and stuff is represented in Hollywood.
Mhm.
But why is there such a thing about like making them high school students and then making them like have sex with each other? It's like
Yeah,
why are we watching quote unquote 16-year-olds? You know, it just seems a little weird.
it
Like I don't
does.
like that. I don't like that about shows in general. It's just like this shouldn't be something that you're like, yeah, look how cool this is. It's just like that's weird. That's weird. Just put them in like second year university and then it's a lot less weird. You know?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know. There must be a reason why they don't age these characters up or like just move
Mhm.
the plot a few years. I don't know. We got
Yeah.
if someone knows, can you like tell us like is there like a reason why they keep going for high school?
I
And
wonder if it's because high school is more of a contained world than college is. Like kind of in college if like your friend group isn't working out, you just go to another one. Where with high school and stuff, especially in small towns, like that's kind of your situation that
yeah,
you're in. So it can, I think it can like, and I'm really stretching here, make it more believable that people would stick around while this stuff is going on.
right. Like
You
you're kind of
know?
stuck in high school. That's true.
Yeah, like you're
Um
stuck in that scenario.
Yeah, like my thought line was going a little bit more back to One Tree Hill,
Mhm.
where like there were a lot of like problematic writers and
Mhm.
showrunners and people
Yeah.
on that show. And this is kind of getting a little bit more like on the misogyny side, where it was kind of like the fantasy
Yeah.
to have younger people acting out these adult roles. And sorry, by younger people, I mean like the characters themselves, not the actors.
Yeah, they're
Um,
pretending that these are like 15-year-olds.
yes.
Um, I 100% agree with you. I was just trying to find like a less gross reason.
Yeah, like, and I hate that that's where it kinda goes, but, like, that is just the reality of, um,
Mhm.
TV shows in the past, right? Like, and now that we have
Yeah.
all these podcasts coming out, like Drama Queens, I think we've brought this up, like, 50,000,000 times. They're really shining a light on these storylines of just being
Mhm.
like, "Huh, yeah, that was someone's fantasy to have, like, this sex scene," or, like, this is what a man thinks like a woman's just gonna stand in a basketball court, naked and
Yeah.
have 2 basketballs over her boobs.
Yeah.
Like
Well, that's kind of
the
the
reality
thing.
is out the window, and this is where like the fantasy portion comes in. And I don't know,
And
I
that is
I
the
hate
thing
how many shows
about
like have the high school perspective. That's all I'm trying to say.
yeah.
And I know, oh my god, we like put this episode out being like, here's TV shows you should watch. Now we're having an in-depth conversation about like why they're all perverts.
Yeah, but the kind of like going to what you were just saying, I'm pretty sure Euphoria was created by a man,
Mhm.
and the main girls are very hyper sexualized.
Yeah.
And yeah. So but kind of like a weird disguise where it's like, oh, they're hypersexualized to like show the issues of the time. And I'm like, I don't buy that.
Yeah.
You're just kind of creepy, but
I remember
you know.
being awkward AF in high school.
Well, that's the thing is like they're
and
going
and pretty
around.
much everyone else around me too was
I
also
know.
awkward
I
as fuck.
know. Like they're going around and they're like hooking up with all these people and like having so much sex and I'm like I couldn't even like talk to a boy until like honestly when I was 20. Like I was about to say like when I went to university, but let me tell you, the first 2 years not great. Was not great at talking to guys. So I
Yeah.
don't know what world these creators think teenagers live in. And they're like yeah.
Just fantasy. It's a fantasy world. And
I
we're
know.
like, what?
And then like there's like one storyline. Like I'm just like slowly finding out did I like Euphoria as much as I like kind of thought I did, or did the internet tell me I liked it?
I was
But
just
then they
thinking,
had
are
this
you having
whole
like a realization and
I
you're
think
now
I'm
like
having a
talking about it? You're like,
realization.
oh, maybe this.
I know. I'm like I actually have a lot of differing views about Euphoria from like the popular opinions and I'm like, "Oh, I can't like say that cuz people will attack me." Um but they had this whole storyline where like one of the girls literally like moved in with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And his parents were living in the house and they were chill with that. And so was her mom. And I'm like,
Hmm.
first of all, why did you even move in to this guy's house? Like there was no motivation for it. He was just like, you'll come stay with me from now on. And I was just like, what? Do some
And
homework.
what parent is chill with this?
Apparently all of them.
Oh God, make it make sense.
I just like do some homework. Like you guys, they're talking about college. And I'm like, none of you are getting into college. None of you. Because
No.
you haven't done a single piece of homework.
No.
So
Do they even go to class or do they just live in the hallways?
they're not even in the hallways half the time. They went to a school dance once.
Oh.
Yeah, so you know they have been on school property, but in class, unsure. So
Right.
yeah, so do with that what you will. Do with
All
that
right.
what I'm not entirely sure if I just enticed anybody into this.
I feel like you just turned everyone off this show. You should really watch it, but like, here is everything wrong with it. Okay, what do you
Well,
like about
really,
this show? I feel like we need to turn this around. What do you like about watching that show?
really, this is just what we're currently watching.
Okay.
So I'm just expressing my feelings. Like I said, Zendaya's performance is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I think they handle the topic of addiction very well from what I understand of it. And like her performance is incredible. And I think too, they just, while I think a lot of the themes are a bit too adult for high school students, I do think that they handle a lot of topics of various traumas that you can experience without shying away from it, but they don't glamorize the act of it, you know? So, like, they had a whole plot line at the end of season 1 about one of the girls accidentally getting pregnant and needing an abortion,
Right.
right? And instead of being like, oh, she needed an abortion, she got one, and then cut to next year, everything's fine. Like, they kind of went through that storyline and showed what the process she went through was.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what I like about it is they dive into the reality of those situations.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
Because the one thing about TV shows I find a lot, they're always just like, oh, are you going to keep it? Are you going to have an abortion? They're like, oh, I'm going to go for an abortion. And then in the end, they end up keeping it. And you're like,
mhm.
why? Why is it always the same story? Like, this is not the
Yeah.
reality of the world.
Yeah.
see all of our previous episodes that have
Yes.
been on abortion.
Well, I
So
think they
I'm
did a
glad like they
really
finally did it, like a show finally took that on and said like, no, like they
yeah,
followed through with the abortion, and we're gonna explore
see it.
that a little bit more.
Well, they kind
Um,
of like showed it too, like the
oh, cool,
process.
cool.
And I think that they just did it in a really graceful way where they showed the complexity of like her feelings towards it
Yeah,
and stuff, but that she was still deciding to go through it. And just because she was deciding to go through it doesn't mean she didn't have hard feelings about it.
yeah,
So
okay.
I really like that's what I like about it is it doesn't shy away from reality.
Okay, so good show, just wish it wasn't set in high school.
Yes, like if it was set in third year university, I would have no complaints.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes. All right, what's yours?
Okay, mine is kind of along the same lines of this. Now, this is a show I actually just watched over the last week. So
Mhm.
this is a good show if you want to watch like just a couple episodes like a
Mhm.
night.
Mhm.
I was actually being really good and watching one a night.
Mhm.
And there's only 10, so it's like super quick to get through, but the episodes themselves, like they're like an hour long. So like you kind of feel like you've really covered a lot in one episode.
Yep.
And that TV show is Tiny Pretty Things.
I actually really liked that show.
Yeah, I know you. I didn't know that you had watched this show, so I'm kind of glad that you did. So
Mhm.
just a little synopsis: like it follows the world of an elite ballet academy,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like a really like a lot of animosity. Um, in this synopsis here, it actually says young adults. It's also set in high school, which was like really,
It should have just been in college
yeah, because like
because
honestly, they never were in class. Like they could have just said like this is a post high school like academy,
mhm.
like it's separate from the high school world. I kind of wish they did that, but whatever, Hollywood is stuck in the past there.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it like takes place in Chicago, and like all the students, they're just kind of like forced in to themselves, and it's a very toxic show. Like every
Yeah.
single character is toxic. They're all out to be like the best themselves, and they will tear like other people down.
Mhm.
And I'm really not giving anything away here, but like the opening scene is the star ballerina being pushed from the
Yep.
top of a building. And I'm sorry,
Mhm.
it's not a spoiler, guys, not at all. Like it literally
It
tells you
really
that.
starts like that.
It literally like starts with that when you read the description of the TV show and the opening scene.
Yep.
Um, so it's very much like one of those like mystery whodunit shows.
Mhm.
And like all of these characters, like they're all toxic, yet they try to be good, yet they
Yep.
have their own demons that they're trying to fight.
Mhm.
And it was really like just interesting to watch. Like I just kind of wanted to see like how it played out. And they had storylines outside of the who pushed the girl that
Mhm.
they explored, and like everyone like kind of came from like messed up backgrounds and had to deal with like their parents, or like they had kind of like I kind of want to put like a PSA on here, but like eating disorders, or
Mhm.
like dealing with a lot of different things.
Mhm.
And it kind of threw in that like high intensity world of ballet and dance.
Mhm.
And like I don't know if I've ever said this on the show, but like if I didn't ride horses, I wanted to be a dancer.
Oh, I'm fascinated by ballet.
Oh my god, like you could put me in front of any dance show and I'm like here for it. I just
I was
love
obsessed.
watching dance, and like it makes me want to dance.
Mhm.
So like that's kind of what drawed me into the show originally, but then the storyline made me stay. And I do have to say, like the actors themselves are like beautiful, they're great.
Mhm.
Some of the dialogue that they had to say is
Yes.
a little like you're like you get taken out of it a little bit,
Mhm.
or like when you think about what they actually said, you're like, no normal person would say that.
Yeah,
It
and they're
works for the
also
show, you
I
know?
think too for quite a few of them, like I'm pretty sure all of the actors are actual like professional ballet dancers.
Yeah, they are. Like I was
So
looking into each actor, and like one
yeah.
is an acrobat, the other one's like they all dance, which was
Yeah,
pretty
so
awesome.
I think it was kind of like they're dancers first, actors a
Second.
bit second.
Yeah.
So there were some of them that like, they were incredible dancers, but their acting wasn't quite there, especially with some of the writing.
Yeah, like
But
I
it
think if they
still
had
works
like
because it's
excellent
very
excellent
campy.
yeah, like if they had excellent writing, I think
Mhm.
like it would have been seamless,
Yeah.
but for someone who's not like a trained actor who can
Mhm.
kind of like work through some writing that's not so great,
Mhm.
it felt like a little like stalled there, but like the storyline itself is awesome. Forewarning, there is a lot of sex in this show, explicit sex
About high school students.
about
Again,
high
like,
school
why?
students. Which like I was just trying to think like, you know what? No, like they're adults. Like they're not 16; they're all adults. Um, So there is a lot of sex in this show, and you get the whole sex scene.
Mhm.
At one point, I was just like, okay, like, and I like literally fast forward. I'm like, we don't need 3 minutes of sex. It's fine. Like, come on, let's keep the story moving. But it's just like, oh yes, yeah, we see you all have beautiful bodies. Okay, like you're all very hot.
It wasn't
Um,
like Game of Thrones where they were doing, like, important dialogue
during
during the scenes. It
during
was
this,
just 3
no,
minutes long.
no, they were just literally like having sex, and like everyone has sex with everyone else. Um, Which I'm just like, okay, cool, awesome, love.
Cool.
I'm like, why are you all having revenge sex? But it's fine. But the one thing about this show, like, it's it's a sexy show. Like in its entirety, it's a sexy show, and it's fun to watch a sexy show sometimes, right? Like even if it's kind
You
of
get a little
campy.
flustered. You get
Oh
a
my
little
god! Like I
flustered.
don't know. Like I was just kind of watching. I was like, yeah, like this is like I don't know. Like I was just like, this is fun to watch.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think like people get it. Like when you find that like just like campy, sexy show, you're like, this is trash and I love it.
Yeah.
So that
I love
is
it.
Tiny Pretty Things. It's on Netflix.
10 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I don't
Yeah.
know if it ever got renewed for season 2, but
No,
it
and no,
should
and that
have.
was the sad thing. So I saw that it was 10 episodes and I thought it was like a limited series. So I was like, great, because I hate not having a completed story.
Mhm.
I do have to give this show credit because when I got to the last episode, I was really worried that because by that point, like I knew that season 2 had not been renewed. So I was kind of worried, like, oh no, like, are they going to finish the story?
Yeah.
And they actually did. Like, there were a few things that were a cliffhanger, but like not enough to be like, oh, like I'm annoyed. Like, I don't know what's happening here.
Mhm.
They actually did finish the story. And then the very last scene was like the new story about to start. And even though you were kind of like, oh, I wish like I could watch that, you were okay. You know, like it was
Yeah.
just like, okay, like at least I had all of my questions answered for this season.
Yeah.
So I do
Like, it
applaud like
kinda
the writers for that. Like they did at least tie up those loose ends. And it's almost like they wrote it, which I feel like more, I don't know, I guess there's a fine line. I am not a writer, um, of keeping the audience intrigued for the next season. Yet there's such a high, like so many shows are never renewed for a second season that many of them will like go off the edge and you don't get any answers.
Mhm.
So I really did appreciate that they wrapped up the show. And it was just like, okay, if there's a second season, that would be a bonus. And we'd like
For
get to
sure.
stay with these characters because they were all like very fascinating characters. Like I was really into every single one of them and
Mhm.
really fascinated by their stories.
I agree. I remember I really, really liked that show, so go watch it, guys.
Yes, definitely go watch it. Okay, what's your next show?
So they're not, like, specific shows, but I do have, like, they're in the same genre, and, I've been getting really into rock climbing documentaries.
Oh my god. Are you watching the ones on YouTube?
I have watched a few of them because
Okay.
I'll watch them with my boyfriend. So I do know like some of like the cool like professional rock climbers now,
Mhm.
but they're both actually one is on Netflix, but um, there's been two that we watched. We watched one called The Dawn Wall, and then we also watched Free Solo, which I think a lot of people know about because it won an Oscar a few years back. And let me tell you, that stuff is fascinating. Just like understanding how their brains work because like with both of those uh documentaries, they're all set in the Yosemite,
Mhm.
and they all have to do with the El Cap wall. So one of them was basically the Dawn Wall. Which, have you seen like a picture of that Yosemite mountain? It's like
Mm?
it's kind of like the background on a lot of like Dell computers and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So the Dawn Wall had never been climbed before because just it didn't really have like the holds for it. Like it was basically just sheer rock. So the Dawn Wall documentary was all about a professional rock climber named Tommy Caldwell, who he climbed it for the first time. So he's the one that like bolted that, like essentially ascended that route for the first time.
Okay.
And Free Solo was the first is what's his name again? Alex Honnold, and he free soloed, which is basically free climbing on your own. The a route on El Cap, and he was the first person to do that as well. And just like the sheer amount of planning that it takes for them to do something like that, like I'm pretty sure both of them were working on those projects for like a year or two at least so that they could actually go do it. So like there's a whole lot of like them studying different areas of the wall to figure out how they were going to do it ahead of time, that it's like they memorize how to progress and how like your hand goes here and your foot goes here to actually make it through because they're such difficult climbs. So I like, if you guys are kind of like into like wildernessy, like sporty type of documentaries, definitely go check it out. But also just to like I find things in the wilderness like diving, mountaineering, rock climbing and stuff, when people get like really into it like professionally, I always am kind of like, but why? Because a lot of those things really freak me out.
Oh, I
So it's
think it's
interesting
absolutely
to,
terrifying. Like
yeah,
when they
like
just go like free
why?
climbing and I'm like, you could fall, right? Like it's just
Well,
everything
that's
in
what
the
I
body
mean.
saying no. It's
I know. Well, that's the thing is like in Free Solo, they have a whole section where he literally gets an MRI because people kept asking him, like, is something different in this guy's brain? And like, I can't remember which area exactly, but like, apparently he just doesn't experience fear in the same way
that's crazy.
that most people do. Like, he
But I
just
wonder if
doesn't
that's like, is that like
react.
you're born that way or is it conditioned? I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I
I
don't
feel like maybe
know.
you have to be born that way because your brain overrides so much. And especially
I
like the
know.
older that you get, the stronger that is, I find.
I know. And like, he goes and studies the route to get it to a point where he knows it so well that he's like, oh, yeah, it's not as risky anymore. So I'm comfortable doing it. And I'm like, to me, that's always high risk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what if you just had a bad day and you slipped?
Yeah.
So,
The
yeah,
risk is
like,
never zero on that.
never. So it's a very, like, it's just so interesting to, because, like, that's like literally their profession. That's what they do all the time. And it's just very interesting to see how they do it. Um, and their thought processes behind it. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in stuff like that, definitely check those two out because, and also check out the other ones on YouTube because there's like never ending content about rock
Yeah,
climbing.
I actually ended up watching some on YouTube, and I think, like, I don't know if the computer was listening to you and I having a conversation when you first started rock climbing, because all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
I had, like, dozens of rock climbing videos and documentaries show up on the YouTube algorithm, and I was like,
You
"Well, that's
marketed.
creepy." Um, my boyfriend and I have not been watching anything remotely related to rock climbing, but I did end up, like, when, like, you're just kinda, like, trying to go to sleep and you throw YouTube on and just let it go.
Yep.
I ended up having like one of the rock climbing ones come on, and it was really fascinating because it was
Mm-hmm.
all about the controversy between rock climbers and
Mm.
how some people had like it was like I okay, you would know this more than I would, but there's like a rating system, and
Yep.
it's quite complicated on how they rate different paths and different
Mm-hmm.
mountains on their
Mm-hmm.
difficulty. And so there was this one guy who was like rating things really difficult
Mm-hmm.
and saying like, oh, like I climbed, I don't know, an 8A. I'm probably off on that rating.
Yep.
Um, and then all these people were like trying to challenge it. And then this guy was also being like disrespectful to a route where
Mm.
like the local like tribal communities like did not want people on their mountain, and
Oh,
like he
okay.
would go climb it anyway, and he put are they called holds, like where you would clip
Uh,
onto and like put your I don't know what it's called.
bolts. There, he would be bolting the
Yeah,
route.
yeah, so that he was bolting, and the community was just like, no, we do not want this on the mountain, like we do not want people climbing this mountain, we want it to stay natural. um and so he would go up and put bolts in, and then someone else would go up and like take them all down again.
Hmm.
So it was kind of crazy. It like some of the
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to find that channel for you, but it was like really crazy just like how pissed off people got at this one climber.
You don't like. There's a lot of rock climbing politics.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that
like
is really bad,
it
but
was just
like,
something I had never thought about in my whole life, but there is rock
mhm.
climbing politics.
There's like faux pas and stuff, like
Yeah.
things you just don't do. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, so it was like all about this guy who like broke all the rules and
Mm.
people were mad.
I would be mad too.
Yeah.
Gotta listen to the people. Yeah, gotta listen to the locals. Come on. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Love a good rock climbing documentary.
Love it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think like watching sports documentaries in general,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um I like okay, not too many documentaries come out about horse things, but we can only hope.
But when they do.
When they do, I am the first one to watch them. But I really do
Mm-hmm.
actually enjoy watching like other sport documentaries because I like especially like
Mm-hmm.
dance, gymnastics, like anything where the human body is being pushed to the limits. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like in awe. I am in awe of these people, and I want to learn like everything about it, even though like it might be something I would never do.
Yeah. Honestly, my favorite documentary series, like a few years back, was the Cheer docuseries. I don't know if you ever watched that,
Oh,
but it was
yeah.
so good.
Yeah,
So
but
good.
there
If you
was
guys
another
haven't
one
watched
as
that,
well. Oh, what was the other one? I don't know if it was called like Cheer Squad, but it was about the Great White Shark team, and they had won like worlds multiple
oh,
times.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Yeah, it was on Netflix. It probably still is. I'll have to find the name. But it was also on when everyone was talking about cheer,
Mm-hmm.
and like we all just kind of went through a cheerleading phase, and I loved it.
It was such a good time.
Yeah, yeah. So that
Such a
one,
good
it wasn't
time.
like the cheer one, but it was a very similar one that just followed a different team.
Yeah. Honestly, my toxic trait with all of these types of things is watching like people that are really amazing at their craft that they make it look easy. And I'm like, "Pfft, I could do that.
Right? But that's
No,
the
I
thing.
can't.
Like y- they they make it so effortless because they're so strong and so good that it looks easy, but like it's not.
Like that's the thing is watching like pro rock climbers like
Yeah.
do really, really like some of the toughest routes in the world.
Mhm.
They make it look easy, but like even they are like screaming while
Yeah.
they're doing it because it's so hard that I'm like, I would probably put my hand on it on the first hold and fall off.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I found the dance TV show like really fascinating because it was like ballet, so it's like so powerful and graceful all at the same time. Yet the show like
Mm-hmm.
really talked about how like broken their bodies were.
Yeah.
And like the one girl, like she's just like, yeah, I lost my toenail. Like, it's just
Yeah.
and you saw her feet and she was dancing on like a fractured foot. Um
Mm-hmm.
and had
And
to
you
like
have to, because
yeah,
otherwise people kind of like you
like you're
have to keep
forgotten.
going.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
literally forgotten and like you don't get the lead. And so it's just kind of crazy. And then it was just like, oh, your flexibility, like you push your body as far as you can until like your body pushes back.
Yeah.
So it was just, it's so crazy. People in sports. I love sports,
So
man.
good.
Yes.
Same. All right. You go. You
All
go on to
right.
the next
My
one.
my next TV show. Oh God, it's another high school show, but this one has some redeeming qualities. Uh,
Okay.
so it's Never Have I Ever.
Never seen that.
Yes,
I've
so it's
heard
on
lots of
Netflix,
good
and
things
there's
about it.
actually 3 seasons out right now, and this is like your binging show, all right? So if you wanna
Okay.
binge something, I literally watch a season in an evening because the episodes are like 30 minutes, yet they're so good. And it's because it has incredible writing, and the writer behind it is Mindy Kaling. And so she has been in The Office. She had her own show, Mindy, which I loved. I was obsessed with that show. She is so funny and really brings through like the female experience.
Mhm.
So the show itself centers around a high schooler. She's 15 years old. Her name is Davy, and she's like this Indian American girl. She lives in LA, and this is not a spoiler, but her father died very suddenly when she was in her freshman year of high school, and she goes through like extreme psychological trauma for this. And she comes back to school for her was it sophomore year in the States, second year. We don't use that up in Canada. So she comes back, and she has this like will to like change her social status and be popular, and like try and date like the hottest guy in school. And it's just like a series of like her wins and failures and struggles as a teenager, and explores her friends as well. It's just such a good show. And I absolutely love like they get into um her trying to like, you know, honor her family and her culture, but then also trying to be
Mhm.
just a high school girl. And this is the kind of show like that works in high school setting,
Yeah.
because like yes, there's talk of sex, but it's not everyone is like out there having sex. Like it's like a lot of people being
Mhm.
like, you know, oh, like, um, you know, we're all virgins right now, but like by the end of the year, who won't be? And it's just a lot of joking around that, and literally like, oh my God, a first kiss, you know, like it
Mhm.
really brings back to what high school is actually like, you know, like they're struggling with their grades, they have rivalries and, you know, crushes on boys, and then they're like completely embarrassed, you know, like
Oh.
it just really like I find watching this show, you can relate so much because we've all been there and like
Mhm.
had, you know, your mother embarrass you in front of everyone, or had like a situation that happened, or, you know, uh, got part of like a texting ring and had like a bully, or they're like the mean girls there, or like, you know, you had a crush and he found out that you had a crush on him. It's just
Oh my god, like the worst thing to happen.
yes. Yes, so it's just all in this show. So I highly recommend, like, if you're gonna watch, like, any of the shows I talk about tonight, this is the one to watch. Um, like I said, there are 3 seasons currently. You could watch it in 3 days or less. Uh,
Mhm.
the 4th season comes out probably, like, this time next year, and that will be the final season. So that will be all of her, like, years of high school that they've covered. So
Mhm.
it's just so good. Highly recommend it. The writing is fantastic. The comedic timing is perfect. And I want to share my favorite character. It's
Okay.
Trent. And when you watch the
Nice.
show, you will understand why. Because he just makes me laugh. Like laugh out loud. And I don't laugh out loud when I'm watching a TV show. But this character, he's kind of portrayed as like the jockey dumb guy, yet the
Mhm.
things he say are so insightful. Yet it's in this like this like really dumb jock guy way.
Oh
It's just
gosh.
it's brilliant. Honestly, it's a brilliant show. I can this is like an 11 out of 10.
All right. Well, we'll
Yes.
have to check it out. I've seen it on Netflix like a few times, so we'll have to give it a shot.
Yeah, and what's great about this one is like there are like currently 3 seasons out. So there's some
You can go
content.
for a while.
Yeah, like there's a bit of content there for you to enjoy, because it is a stretch between the seasons, and like it's not like a show like I miss when it's not on,
Mhm.
but when it I see like the next season come up, I'm like I'm sitting down and watching this. Like it's
Yeah.
so good.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Shall I go into my last one?
Go for it.
All right. So unfortunately, this is not a great binging show because it's one of those ones that comes out every week,
Mhm.
which works for it, but hurts my heart a little bit. And don't call me basic, but it is the House of the Dragon.
You know what,
I've
girl?
been
We're all watching it. Let's be
House of
honest.
the Dragon. Oh my god. I honestly there's some things about it that I will admit I'm like maybe you should have slowed down the time jumps a bit.
I know, I
I
am
would say
kinda
that.
sad
Oh my
that, and, like, I
god,
think
but
most people know, like, there are 2 lead actors playing
yes.
the main character,
Yes.
um, and, like, I was not ready to say goodbye to the younger version yet, like, she
No.
is a brilliant actor.
I wasn't even prepared to say goodbye to the younger version of Allison because she's also done
Oh my god,
a
yeah, like
phenomenal job.
yeah, like, those 2 women are brilliant, and I know, like, they're very young in their careers, and I just hope nothing but the best for them.
Honestly, like, I'm pretty sure for, like, I don't know so much about, like I think her name's Emily Carey who plays Allison,
Yeah,
but Millie Alcock, I'm pretty sure that's, like, her first role
it is.
or amongst her first ones, and I'm like, "Girl, like, you were gonna kill it."
What a breakout role. Like, I
Honestly,
don't know how you
she
can
just struck
do better.
gold.
How do you do better? Like, you're on a runaway hit show, which
Mhm.
was, like, even if it wasn't good, there was the audience there to watch it regardless.
Exactly,
But
exactly. So,
her
I
acting ability is, like, incredible, like, better than
I
some of the
know.
great Game of Thrones acting.
Mhm. And I think, like, when it was first announced that they were gonna have the 2, like, the time jump where they switch actors, I was kinda like, "Eh, okay. Sure, that's fine, I don't really care." But then I saw the 2 girls in the roles, and I
I
was just like,
know.
"No.
Yeah,
Why would you do that?"
I do wish they finished the season with them and did,
Mhm.
like, more Crown, like, the Crown style,
Yeah.
where, like, the one actor gets so many seasons for that era, and
Mhm.
then the next one takes over, and it's like a new era.
Yeah.
I kinda wish that happened, but,
Yeah.
like, season 1 of House of the Dragon has been, like, very time
Phenomenal.
jumpy.
It's been phenomenal, also very time jumpy. But, like, I have been listening to, my favorite podcast, Nerd Soup,
Mhm.
and listening to their reviews of it, and they are, like, explaining, like, the kind of, like, them being in the roles. It's basically, like, a very long prologue and setup for
Mhm.
everything that's going to be happening, and I'm like, "You know what? In Game of Thrones, we spent a whole season traveling from one spot to the other. Let's just make the whole season a prologue. Thank you." In
Yeah,
Game of Thrones season 1, we got to, like, the main plot point in episode 9. It was
pretty
all set
much.
up until there. It was
Yeah,
all set up.
yeah.
So, I think, I've been really enjoying it. Other like, the time jump stuff, I think, if I didn't like those 2 actors as much as I do, I probably wouldn't care as much as I do, but I wish we had more time with them.
Yeah.
But I would say that, after, like I would say that whoever they have writing right now has done a good job of capturing the political game playing
Mhm.
that made the original Game of Thrones so great.
Yeah, and
And
I
I
find
think
there's
they've
a
been
lot of
doing a really good job.
yeah, and I find there's a lot of parallels as well between, like, characters that appeared in the original series and now in this series.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll have
no,
to see.
that's a
Like
good show.
I'm kind of glad. It's been pretty enjoyable and it's just nice to go back to that world that was very like Game of Thrones kind of took over the pop culture for however long it was on, but then it kind of went out in burning flames.
Yes.
It's nice to see it recapture the love and attention of that fandom
Mhm.
and even bring new viewers in who are like interested in this kind of stuff. So I'm very interested to see how it unfolds. And while I am sad that the 2 girls have now left the show to make room for the older iterations of their characters, I've only heard great things about those 2 actresses. So I'm interested to see what they do in the older, more mature perspectives of these characters.
Yeah, and I think this is a good show, because I was actually just talking to a friend about it this evening. We were talking about what we're watching, and she had not watched Game of Thrones. Like, she's just like, honestly,
Mhm.
like, gave it a shot, just couldn't get into it. And I
Yeah.
understand that for season one, like, that was really a cult following, and then it
Mhm.
became huge, and people would go back and watch. But like, it's a bit of a marathon to get through the first couple seasons. Like,
Mhm.
I know I needed it explained to me.
Mhm.
Um, but I find with this show, even if you never watched Game of Thrones, you can watch this one
Yeah.
and and understand what's happening. Like, it's
Yeah.
not something where you need to watch through all of Game of Thrones then watch this one. You could just start watching this one, and like, yeah, you might miss some of the little subtle hints that like the GOT people know about, but really, like,
Mhm.
alone it stands, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely an easier viewing experience for
Yes.
viewers who are sensitive towards sex,
Yeah.
sexual violence. So far, I have a lot to say about the sexual violence issues in the original Game of Thrones. Do not get me started. It was so
Uh-huh.
annoying and made me very angry. And just violence in general. It's just they're they really went hard in the first episode. They were like, boom, violence. And then
Yeah.
there hasn't been that much of it lately, but I'm sure it's coming. But like when it just comes to the sex side, everything I've seen so far hasn't been like, with Rhaenyra. She's kind of like taking control of her situation,
Yeah, it's
Like,
definitely
and
like
I've
a show where it's kind of the fight of queens, you know?
yeah, and I'm
And the
loving
sex
that.
is a lot more subtle. And there's
Mhm.
more of that comparison to like for that period of time, like the woman's duty as a wife versus
Mhm.
what a woman actually wants. And I thought they did
Yes,
a
which
really
I'm
brilliant job of showing that.
yes, and I actually like quite enjoyed that. I feel like a lot of our listeners probably are watching this and they know where we're going. But like I think that they kind of handled that well because in the original Game of Thrones, sex was always
A
it was
weapon?
very male gazy. It was
Yep.
very male gazy and it was always a weapon used against the women until like, Daenerys kind of took some control of her situation in later seasons.
Mhm.
But it was always like really like using it against especially like the young women in the
Yes.
show, that it was very nice to see like a young female character in this world be like, this is what I want to do,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna go do it. So I think they're handling it in a more respectful and just less male gaze and violent way.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe they let some women into the writer's room, which is, like,
Yeah.
needed on every TV show.
Yeah, maybe they like, listen to the woman who's like, yeah, don't put in gratuitous sexual assault scenes. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm looking at you, season 6, or was it season 5? Either season 5 or season 6 of Game of Thrones. I'm looking at you. Thank you.
I'm looking at all of you seasons there.
Honestly, like basically season all of them up until like season 7 cuz then it just was a weird show.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and, like, just okay, this is a little tongue in cheek here, but, if you are watching House of the Dragon, um, watch the artwork on the walls.
Really?
That's all I'm gonna say. Just when you're watching, look at the walls of the background scene. It's a little joke in the, art department on this show, and I think it was also the same in Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
But okay, like, it comes out, we're recording this on a Saturday, but, so it's gonna air tomorrow.
Mhm.
Just watch for the artwork. That's all I'm gonna say, and then talk to me Monday.
Are you telling me or can you just like tell me?
No, no, I'm telling everyone, do that.
Oh my
Just
god.
just watch it.
What is it? What
Watch
is
it.
it?
I'm
Oh my
not gonna tell
god.
you. You have to wait.
Okay. Sounds good.
You're
Like at the
so pissed. You're
tapestries?
so pissed.
I really want to know. Now I'm like,
You have
Jesus,
literally 24 hours.
that's a long time. You know how impatient I am.
I know you are, but you'll laugh. You will laugh
Okay.
when you see it. Um,
Okay. Also, like, can we just like talk about the fact that like Instagram right
oh my god,
now,
that's exactly where I was just gonna go. I'm like, I am honestly like living for the memes of this show more than
same.
the
Like,
show.
I miss the Game of Thrones memes. Like,
Yeah,
that's just its whole own thing. But like, let's just talk about how much everybody is thirsting over Damon, and I'm like, that's a toxic man.
that is a very toxic man.
But everybody's just like, oh my god, he's so hot, and it's just like, you know what, you're right, but also like, maybe not, maybe not.
Also
Like, we can be like.
problematic.
We can be like, yeah, he's hot when he got his hair cut, but like he's also a problem.
Yes, but I am definitely living for the memes. They're hilarious. Like I am not disappointed at
No.
all.
They've been they've been nice.
Yeah.
Just honestly, like every meme about Viserys just being like completely flabbergasted and done with everything that's going on around him is like me. Like I honestly like my entire life I just need Viserys reaction gifs for
I
everything.
I would just be like so happy for that. And like I love that the one where he's just like, I just want to play with my Lego set,
I
okay?
know. So done with this job.
So done with it.
Oh, and my other ones are just like it was like I think it was like a SpongeBob meme where it's like the fish that's bursting open the doors where it's like Damon walking into the throne room after being exiled in the last episode.
Yeah. I just saw like a Garfield one, and I guess like it kind of iconic in the running gag of that cartoon. There's like a sign of like no Garfield, and he walks by and goes like, "Huh, wonder who that's for." And they put it as Damon.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I love that.
it's been so good, and like
Love it.
I am just not disappointed at all.
Me neither. And I'm loving like, I missed the Nerd Soup Game of Thrones reviews.
Yeah, no,
I've been enjoying
I
them.
honestly have not watched any reviews of this show. Like I think I might wait.
Just go back when it's over and
Yeah, like
listen to
just
them
kind of
through.
relating back to a few episodes ago where we were talking about enjoying things for what they are.
Mhm.
Um, I just kind of want to watch it just to watch it and have like my own opinion, my own feelings in the moment.
Mhm.
And then I think I'll go back and be like, okay, like what were the nitty gritty details of this stuff?
Mhm. Mhm. So yeah, I think I'm going to give House of the Dragon a 9.5 out of 10. The point 0.5 is just because I wish that they were a bit less time jumpy with Emily Carey and Millie Alcock.
Yes. And it did feel like sometimes a scene was missing.
Like the Euphoria thing. I think it's an
Yeah,
HBO thing.
I think it is. Like, because I know that this one scene was filmed because there's pictures of it.
Mhm.
Actually, there's a couple. There's a couple scenes that like they filmed it and then it just, I guess, I don't know, ended up on the cutting room floor.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm just like, I feel like we needed that. Like, I know you have time constraints, but we really could have used that one scene just
Yeah.
to just to close the bridge. Like, like
Mhm.
there's a bit of a gap. We needed to bridge the gap of what happened.
Yeah. Well, I do understand too because that decision to do the time jump and have the two different actors and stuff was done before, would have been done way before like
Right.
filming actually started. And they probably like they were both I'm pretty sure they're both relatively new actresses. They
Mhm.
probably did not know they had lightning in a bottle like that until it was too late, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that. They're just like, "Okay, we just gotta like get the first few stories out here, and then we'll get like the big actors in." But like, damn,
And
we're
then they're like,
missing out.
fuck.
It was an opportunity that we've missed.
Yeah, well, I think I had seen something where like they might be in talks to come back and do like flashbacks for season 2 and I'm like if you
Yes,
don't do that, you guys are like missing out.
yeah, I did hear that as well. I really hope that they follow through on it because like these are two actresses that we cannot lose track of. Like
No.
they need to stay in the limelight.
All right. So yeah, guys, if you're not already, go watch House of the Dragon.
Okay,
So,
my
yeah.
next show. This is another one that only comes out once a week, and I just want to pause on that for a moment because I feel like for the past like almost a decade now,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
we've like been inundated with whole seasons of shows,
Yep.
and we're just so used to like consuming that I've kind of loved this going back to releasing one episode a week on a like specific night at a specific time. Um,
Mhm.
because it, I'm trying to think of how to describe this, but like, not that it provides structure to my week because I do not structure my week around TV shows. But
I
it's
get what you
something
mean.
to look forward to.
Mhm.
Like, I know on Sunday night, my boyfriend and I were going to sit down at 9 o'clock. You know, we've had dinner, maybe we're having a tea and a little dessert, and we're watching House of the Dragon,
Mhm.
right? And I just kind of love that because we watch it and we're like, ah, yes, can't wait for the next one to come out.
Mhm.
And this definitely relates back to like our previous episode about enjoying things for what they are because um, we can't consume things so fast.
Mhm.
So even though like yes, seasons are shorter than what they used to be, it's still the experience that is being drawn out. And I
Mhm.
feel like when we like going back to the memes, you know, we have an episode come out and then we have a week to talk about it.
And get the hype up for the next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you know, like we've had a chance to discuss it because, you know, we don't have people who have jumped ahead and watched everything and people who haven't seen all the episodes.
Can
Um,
avoid spoilers too
yeah, like
this
it's a great
way.
way to avoid spoilers. And we're all just kind of experiencing this together as a collective where there
Mhm.
were a lot of shows that were spoiled for me because like I'm usually the last one to the party on a TV show. Like I just takes me a while to watch something. Um, and a lot of the time, like I was just like, okay, like I kind of know where it's going because I've already like seen spoilers. And I
Mhm.
try not to let it like wreck the mood for me when it comes to a TV show, but it is nice on like a big TV show like this that we all have to watch it together. And
For sure.
that kind of leads me into my TV show, which is The Handmaid's Tale. So currently, at the
Ah.
time of this recording, season 5 is coming out and it comes out on Wednesdays.
Mhm.
No, it is on Hulu, so I think it does come out like at midnight, whatever. Um, but like I watch it on Wednesday nights.
Mhm.
And that's just like another thing of like, okay, I'm tuning in and I'm gonna like watch this show and then I'm gonna process it after. I'm not gonna like I can't jump into the next episode. I have to sit and think about what just happened. Um so I feel like a lot of people know about The Handmaid's Tale. It's actually written by Margaret Atwood, who is a fellow Canadian author. Um, I've read a few of her books. I'm really into dystopian plots when it comes
Mhm.
to novels.
Mhm.
So this book was something like I first read in high school. And then I came back to it when I was in university. And that's when I started to
Also, like
like,
a really intense thing to read in high school.
it was, I was not ready for it in high school. And like, it was probably in a grade 10 or 11, like lit class.
Mhm.
A little lofty, I thought, for a teenager. But then when I read it again on my own in university, I was just like, oh my God, I love this book.
Mhm.
And honestly, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't say this, but Handmaid's Tale and like Gilead, which is the country slash organization that took over the states in the
Mhm.
book, it's it's kind of scary because it's really set in like our timeline
Mhm.
and it's just like no one has free will anymore. It's heavily religious. um Fertile women were rounded up and they were called handmaids and they were pretty much childbearing slaves. So
Yeah.
the content of this book and this TV series is a lot. And it's a very intense TV show. The actors are sublime. The writing is impeccable. Like it's
Mhm.
just so good. And I love that this was another show where the author was consulted. And so
Mhm.
season one really is the book that Margaret wrote. In 2019, she came out with The Testaments, which was kind of uh, a time jump and continuation of the series.
Okay.
And this season, like the seasons after that, have pulled on the Testaments, but it's also created its own
Mhm.
story, which Margaret has also kind of uh, like molded the way for it to stay with her original content. So, like, when we talk about like trying to satisfy canon, it does.
Mhm.
Um, so it's really just a brilliant show. It is heavy though. So
Mhm.
like this is a show like I don't know, you could try to binge it, but I
It's a
feel like
lot.
it's one of those where like you'd watch maybe 2 episodes and you're like, "Okay, okay, I'm good." Like
Mhm.
I need to shake this off a little bit. And just, things that are happening right now south of the border and even in our own country and around the world, it's it's hitting home. And if you
Yeah.
ever listen to Margaret Atwood talk, she writes her books like, yes, they're kind of called dystopian, but she's like, I am just pulling from history. She's like, I am pulling these moments in history and putting them together in the same timeline. Um, and that's really scary. So I feel like this is a series that, it's a cautionary tale
Mhm.
because, like, as our current series that we're doing, it's a slippery slope of people who are trying to take away human rights.
Mhm.
And this is just kind of like a little viewpoint into what that world would be like, and it's very scary. Um,
Mhm.
so the show, it's intense. There's like some scenes I was like distressed, but
Yeah.
in a good way. Like I was just so involved, and I was like so stressed out for the characters. You can just really get into it. And Elizabeth Moss, who plays June, is absolutely incredible. And she's actually stepped into a director role for
Mhm.
season 5, and it's art. Like
She
it's
produces
such
it too, right?
yes, yeah. She's been an executive producer for quite a while, but this was the first season where she stepped in as a director.
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, like watching it is a work of art. And really what this becomes, I'm not going to give it away for anyone because it's something everyone should go sit and watch. Originally it was kind of like the women against the men, the patriarchy and religion.
Mhm.
And further on it kind of becomes very much like two ruling women, like kind of like House of the Dragon,
Mhm.
and they're battling it out for what they believe in.
Mhm.
So it's just such a good story, and it's won so many awards. So this is another one that you should watch. It's available on Hulu,
Mhm.
but you can pretty much find it anywhere. It's pretty public, that one.
Yeah. I've I think I watched the first 3
Oh, did
seasons.
you?
Yeah, I did. I can't remember how I was watching it though or when, but I did watch. I think I watched up until I don't wanna spoil it.
No.
So, but, like, it was a very big moment, and I think it was at the end of season 3.
Okay.
Um, and I think it was maybe season 4 wasn't out yet, so I stopped watching it, and then maybe that was a time where I had Crave and then got rid of it.
Mhm.
So, I just haven't quite got back into it yet, but I think I
Yeah, and I
might.
think with COVID, there's like a funny gap for a lot of
Mhm.
TV shows just with like them being able to film.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, like season 3 came out and then season 4 took a long time to shoot and it finally came out last year.
I think that's what happened is by the
Yeah.
time season 4 came out, I'd kind of lost interest. Like, I kind of was doing some other things, but
Yeah,
yeah,
like
it
you would
might be
have to go
time to go
back
back.
to probably season 1 almost
Yeah,
and
but, like, I
rewatch.
kinda know because I did read the book too, so I know season 1 pretty well. I think it'd probably be, like, starting season 2. again that
Right.
I would go back
Yeah, yeah,
to.
because like season 1 is very much just the book, and then season 2 is where it picks up as a new story.
Mhm. Mhm. So, but yeah, that book really freaked me out.
Oh, it's good. It's good though.
Oh,
Like
it
it's
is
really
good.
good.
So, yeah. Are those our TV shows?
Yes, I do have one honorable mention because I feel like we
Okay.
talked about a lot of like heavy and toxic and steamy
That's
shows.
fair. That's
So I'm
fair.
throwing in a very lighthearted one that I love to turn on when there is a new season.
Mhm.
It's called Glow Up, Britain's Next Makeup Star.
Fair.
Yes. So this is
Nice.
a British reality TV show, and I just like British reality TV way better than North American reality TV because in North America, they really like pit the contestants against each other.
Yeah.
Where in Britain or like just in other countries, they're comrades. Like even though they're in a competition, there's not
Mhm.
like that like sabotage element to it, which I don't know why American TV shows are like obsessed with that. Um, I really like it.
Capitalism.
They're very supportive of each other. And again, this is a show like I love watching people in their element doing their art. And
Mhm.
these makeup artists, like they are artists. And
Love it.
it's so good. So they're like there's usually like 10 episodes, I think. Maybe not even that many. But there are like 4 seasons out currently. And it's just like people telling their backstories and then they're going through like the different makeup challenges and they're getting like amazing jobs. So like there's some good content there to watch if someone just wants to put something like light and breezy on. And like the judges are really lovable. I think I said the reference to you and you were looking at me kind of sideways when I said like, Rachel, we need a conflab. And you're like, what? You're like, okay, Laura. Okay. As
I
you
don't
turned
even
away
remember.
from me. Yeah. Yeah. No, like you kind of brushed it under the rug. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's probably one of those moments where sometimes like I feel like I hear you say things, but I'm not sure if I did.
You're probably
So
like,
then I
what
just
the
kind
fuck
of
did she just say? I'm just not gonna ignore. I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm just gonna ignore her.
sometimes I'm just like, did I hear that?
Yeah. Yes, I asked you for a conflab. It's just a discussion, a meeting of the minds, if you will.
All right. Well, now next time you say that to me, I'll know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Watch
Sort
a
of.
little bit of that show because it's actually like very addictive and good to
Okay.
watch. So just throw it on when you're cleaning or something.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Yeah, we were watching kind of one that was like nice to put on, but we were watching Indian matchmaking on
Oh, that
Netflix.
one
I don't
keeps
know if you
popping up. I
it
almost clicked
was
on it the other night, but then I saw the new season of Never
yeah,
Have I Ever.
it was interesting. Like I think like it is kind of like a reality like dating show type thing. We did start season 2, but I think like with me and like those kind of like dating reality shows, I can only watch one season at a time because then I
Yeah.
get kind of like tired. But basically, the whole premise is just like a matchmaker from India who basically she just helps match up arranged marriages.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
very
I love
interesting.
like kind of like 'cause I'm so fascinated by that culture and just like having
Yeah.
a like matchmaker and arranged marriages. I'm just really fascinated
Hmm.
by that and how it works. So I love that there's a show
It
about
was
that right now.
it was very interesting, and also just the degrees of traditionalism
Hmm.
in the young people who she was matching, because there were some that were like very very traditional, and then I think there was like a young entrepreneur, like I think she was a fashion designer, like young woman who she was just kind of like at the end of it she's like, I don't want to do this, I want to focus on my business. So it was like they did like a wide variety of people and their values and stuff. So it was really, really interesting. So
Nice.
yeah, if that sounds appealing, guys, go check it out. It was good fun.
For sure. Okay. I think we've covered this was our short episode on
This was
what we're
supposed to be
watching right
30
now. I
minutes.
hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Definitely send us an email on everything you are watching right now because I am definitely wrapping up some shows and like obviously the two main
Hmm.
ones I'm watching only come out once a week. So I'm looking
Hmm.
for some filler, for some good fall TV shows. So send us an email to teawithlaurarachele@gmail.com.
Yep. You know, I've concluded that when we say before we start that it's going to be a short episode, it's not.
It's
You know how
never.
when we say if Taylor Swift has the word happy in her song title, it's not happy? That's like us, but when we say the episode's going to be short.
It's so true. Like, I think we spent half an hour on the first TV show.
Well, you know, we needed to talk about a lot of societal issues and how they were prevalent, like they were presenting in Euphoria. Okay,
Yeah, I
you
just love
know,
how
it was important.
it just started out with like, oh, TV shows we're liking. Fuck this show for this reason.
This show would be great if they were set in college. Thank you. So, yeah, guys, if you like this episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. It really helps out the show. And yeah, would really appreciate it. Thank you.
And with that, live like tea.
Live like tea.